I wasn't expecting this. I'm not going to even hold you. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was going to be way closer than this one. The Celtics want a shootout. We all know that. Anytime the Celtics line up, they want it to be a shootout. One way or the other. No matter where they're playing, they want it to be a shootout. The Knicks have to understand that. The Celtics only want one thing. They only want it one way. They want a championship doing it that way. They want a shootout. You're going to have to shoot an uncomfortable amount of threes to beat the Boston Celtics. Their comfort zone is where you're the most uncomfortable. Most teams, most coaching philosophies aren't as risque. Don't take as many three-point risks as the Celtics, and they benefit from that because coaches are too old school and too conservative in their ways. You have to understand the game has evolved. You got to shoot more threes. It's going to get to the point where we're going to see 40 to 43 threes shot per game, per team. Especially when they play against the Celtics. Like you have to understand, you play against the Celtics, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Fuck the game plan. Fuck what you usually do. Your usual identity. Who you were before coming into this game. It's all about who you have to be to survive this moment. Be prepared to shoot as many threes as you can. It's going to be a shootout versus Boston. They're going to shoot as many threes as humanly possible. They have the green light as a team. That's their MO. That's their identity. They're in that uncomfortable space that most teams and most coaches don't want to delve into that because it takes away from their coaching acumen and it goes into something a little more arcade-like. But that's for right now, that's the space the NBA is in. You got to shoot more threes. When you play against the Celtics, you're going to have to. Or they're going to shoot your clothes on fire. You know what I mean? Either you go down smoking with your gun blazing and your gun and the barrel smoking, or they're going to shoot your clothes on fire. This is not one of those games where there has to be a lot of theory and a lot of thought. You have to meet them at the three-point line and fight fire with fire. Or you will be the fire. The Knicks were way too conservative. The Celtics jumped out early. We know that's what they're going to do. They're going to jump out early. Once they get going, they're a juggernaut. You're not going to be able to stop them. You're going to have to accept it. That first quarter is the game. When you play against the Celtics, the first quarter is the game. Because if they get a 10-point lead, with all the threes that they shoot, they're going to put you so far behind the 8-ball, you're never going to be able to get anything done. They were up by 19 in the first, 29 by the 19 at half, 26 going into the fourth, and in the game winning by 23, all from three-point shooting. They jumped out early and never looked back. They scored 132 points on 95 shots and shot 50% from the field. Not only is it going to be a shootout, but if they're hitting shots, it's a nightmare. Last night was the worst case scenario for the Knicks. It's not the end of the world, though, because it's not like it's the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's the first game of the season. You got 6 months to chop that down and figure it out and make it more of a battle. Because the Knicks have the better roster. The Celtics have the better system. That's a fact. They shot 61 threes. 61. Almost 70% of their shots were threes. And they shot 47% from three. They almost broke the NBA record. They tied it with 29. They almost had 3 times more threes than the Knicks, who had a way too conservative 109 points on 78 shots. Listen. You gotta come out guns a-blazing. The Knicks are the better team. They have the better roster. The Celtics have a better system and they're comfortable. If you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're not going to beat this team. You can't play an old school type of, you got to step into 2024. 11 or 30 is not going to do it against the Celtics. It might do it against some teams, but against the Celtics, no. Especially when they keep all the blue collar shit close. The blue collar work was close. The rebounds, the assists, the points in the paint, all that stuff was close. So you can't chop at the lead with those. They hit almost three times. Listen. They had 18 more threes. 18 more threes. That's 54 more points from three. But it's an easy fix. You have to be more aggressive and less conservative. It ain't about the game plan. You got to go in there ready to fight. You have no choice. You have to go in there ready to fight. You have to. Everyone has to be active. There has to be a sense of urgency. This is a different level of professionalism that you're going to have to play with. Like, you cannot be concerned about how it looks. You got to just get it done. Beat the Celtics by any means necessary. The work has to be done. It doesn't have to look organized. It doesn't have to be in some type of formation that makes sense to everybody. Just execute. Pull up. Get to the three-point line, pull up. You know they're going to shoot 53s against you. They're going to do that against the Knicks. Every time they play against the Knicks, they're not shooting any less than 45 threes against the Knicks. I promise you that. Because that's the only way they can beat them. And by the law of averages, it'll average itself out. And if they have a night like they did last night, they're going to be on fire. The Knicks were way conservative. They only shot 78 shots. You're not going to beat the Celtics like that. They almost took more threes than the Knicks took shots. There's no way. Like, the analytics have everyone thinking threes are more than twos, which they are. But when you play it at this level, it makes so much sense in terms of winning, losing, keeping players injury-free for as long as you can. And this is the easiest game plan to remember and to repeat. That they have no problem being this type of team. It's very easy for them to travel and play this style of play. It's very easy for them to be themselves everywhere because they transform themselves into what the NBA could be in the future. Once everybody's gone, these young kids are probably going to end up taking 53s. You might see 100 threes in a game soon. You know what I'm saying? So they're stepped into a future that the rest of the NBA has to get into. And these old conservative coaches, because they have a younger coach, he's bliss to all of the things that actually would work systematically and from an idea standpoint over time. He wants instant gratification. You add the three-point shooting and you take it and mass produce these type of shooters on that team. It's like the Rick Pitino effect. Rick Pitino had this same type of philosophy when he coached Kentucky. They won a national championship with it. You have to, the only way you could beat them is if you shoot as many threes as them. Especially if you got a better roster. You just can't be so conservative. Get out your feelings and shoot the ball. That's it. If you're not coming to shoot against the Celtics, you're not going to beat them. The Knicks are going to figure it out. They got more than enough time. They have more than enough time to fix this when they play against Boston. Teams like the Pacers have a great chance of competing and beating Boston because they shoot at this. Their scoring pace is just like this. But it's also in the perimeter and threes. The Celtics, focus more on the three-point shooting. But if you allow them to apply pressure and then they lean on you with the three-point shooting, then you have no choice but to accept defeat. I think this is fixable. The Knicks can fix this. They can't be conservative. From beginning to end, they have to be as dangerous and as furious from the gate because the Celtics understand how important the first quarter is to them using the three-point shooting as a weapon. You have to keep that either you win the first quarter or you keep it close and shoot threes accordingly. This is not a regular team you're playing against. This is the champs. They won with this system. You're playing against the system. They can plug anybody into this system. The most valuable person in that organization is Brad Stevens. They can plug anybody into that system, and they're doing it in real time. Forget the game plan. Forget all that. Forget who you are on paper. Accept the fact that this is going to be a shootout. And that's how you're going to win or lose. So it's just one of those things where the Knicks are going to have to understand what this is and accept it for what it is. The Celtics are forcing the rules of engagement. So you have to engage according to how they said it, not how you want it to be, because it ain't going to work out like that. You have to be committed to accepting the fight how they fight, because it works. They got a championship out of it. You're going to have to beat them how they play. That's it. And be mentally tough enough to take the good with the bad on this one. And listen, guys don't want their shooting percentage to drop. The Celtics don't even care about their shooting percentages because it'll average itself out. It's just logical. It's logical to just fight fire with it will take care of itself. On a professional level, it'll all make sense in the end. It'll average itself out. It makes no sense if you're a 36% from three shooting team shooting only 33s in 2024 against the Celtics. You should have shot 50. They were better off. They should have shot 50. Of those 72 shots, 50 of those shots should have been threes. The game would have been closer. And then you can do all the blue collar work that enables you to dominate a team and put you in the advantage, at the advantage. But it's just a lesson. You're going to learn. It's the first, like I said, it's the first game of the season. It's not it's not the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just the first game of the season. You know what I mean? But you have to chip away at it. They have enough time to chip away at it. Tom Thibodeau's team typically don't shoot that many threes, and that puts them behind the 8 ball. They have to shoot a lot of threes in the first half against the Celtics. They're going to have to shoot at least 33s in the first half against the Celtics. You're going to have to shoot 33s, at least 25 to 33s in the first half against the Celtics, and then you can start implementing all the things that make the Knicks great and utilize the group of guys they have, the better roster. The Knicks definitely have a better roster. You just have to use it correctly against this team. They have the better system. They have the futuristic system. These niggas, I'm telling you, you're going to have to do something. If you keep it even, your roster will kick in. But right now, if you just going in there trying to be conservative, going through the motions, they're going to set your clothes on fire. And last night, the Knicks got their clothes set on fire. But like I said, it's the first game of the season. You know what I'm saying? They have enough motivation to fix it. That's all. Study the film. Understand you got to shoot threes. You're going to have to shoot 25 to 33s in the first half. And then in the second half, then you could work them. Especially if you got the lead, you could work them. You know what I mean? Because they're playing catch-up, so all those threes are more pressurized. It's a tougher situation. Now, they don't have a lead, a cushion to shoot from. They're shooting from something more, a tougher environment, a little more hostile. Let the pressure naturally build on them. Because that's what they're doing against you with shooting threes. You know what I mean? It's about what type of pressure you can leverage. You got to keep it close by shooting 25 to 33s in the first half. And then in the second half, your roster should be able to kick in and apply more pressure. Of course, they're going to shoot more threes, but if you have the lead, you have something to leverage and you can force them into some compromise, especially with all the players that they have who aren't familiar with playing at such an altitude. You could apply pressure, man. You could definitely crack them. You know what I mean? But some work to be done. You know what I mean? It's nothing but a game, but it's some work to be done. They got busy on ring pop night. So, listen, you owe them one. You owe them one. So I think the Knicks need to lock in and understand that the Celtics are a different animal. And listen, it'll get done. It'll get done. If the Knicks are to go to the finals and get out the East, they're going to have to beat the Celtics. Because they ain't going to beat themselves. They're going to shoot threes and they're going to go down shooting. So understand that and accept that reality and come in there with a different agenda. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. I'm out of here. Peace.